Hi, it's Hillary. I'm making this video because I want to share with as many people, as many friends and family as I can at the same time. Something that I have recently discovered about myself, and I'm very excited about this. I'm also very nervous to reveal it. And to use a word I have made up and use all the time is I'm nervited. I'm nervous, I'm excited, I'm nervited about this. And I guess just to get to the point, I turned 30 in May, and in my 30th year, this July, I received a diagnosis of autism. Now, I imagine many of you are thinking, what the heck? What in the actual heck? Hillary does not have autism. She doesn't match any idea of what I imagine autism to be or what I know autism to be. And I just want to say I understand that. But let me explain. So I guess to start kind of from a beginning, growing up in high school and then kind of throughout college, I would broach the subject of being on the autism spectrum to basically just to my mom. And I would always do it in a half-hearted, kind of jokey way. Not that autism is something to be joked about or is a joke. That is not what I mean. But I would just kind of be like, if something was hard for me, socially, or I would have anxiety about something, I would say like, Mom, I think I'm on the autism spectrum. And we would both just kind of laugh, brush it off, not really think of it, anything of it. For much longer. But then something changed this July. I saw this amazing video produced by BBC Scotland. And if you know anything about me, you know I love Scotland. Special interest. And it was by this young woman who has Asperger's syndrome, and she talked all about the concept of masking. And when I watched that video, my jaw was on the floor because I was like, oh my gosh, it's me. So I sent the video to my mom kind of without any disclaimer of thinking of what I was thinking, and she was like, OMG, what do you think? Do you think this is it? And I said, yes. So this led me on a journey to receive a formal diagnosis of autism. So to kind of backtrack a little bit, masking. What is masking? Masking is using learned or imitated social skills, for lack of a better word, to get by socially. This is something I've done my entire life without even knowing it. It's the reason, well, I did kind of know it, and I'll explain that in a second, but it's the reason so many girls and women who are autistic go undiagnosed or receive late diagnoses like me. I consider myself really lucky that I even was diagnosed this young. I know and have read of so many women who are in their 50s and 60s and later who know they're autistic and haven't received a medical diagnosis, or have just received their diagnosis. And I imagine there might be some people watching this that wonder, okay, why is this a positive? And again, I understand why you might think that but let me explain. So knowing that I'm autistic has allowed me to meet me for the first time in my life. And oh, I'm getting misty. But everything clicks. Everything makes sense. My struggles with social anxiety, not really social anxiety, autism, my generalized anxiety, my uncoordination, my special interests, my hyperlexia. I know I'm kind of spouting off a bunch of jargon here that many people might not know what I'm talking about, but I hope to make future videos to explain more of all of the aspects of autism that I experience and that many people experience, to educate and kind of explore myself. So anyway, just, the anxiety, the depression, it all manifested from being autistic and not being accommodated, not letting myself be autistic, not accommodating myself and having other people not accommodate my needs. And I also want to disclaim that I am not bitter. That my diagnosis is so late. Like I said, I feel so lucky that it came now. I think it's the perfect time because a big part of me thinks if I had received this diagnosis any younger, my life would have turned out a lot differently. And it turned out the best for me. So I'm not saying that late diagnosis is for everyone by any, of course not. Early intervention is great, and I do not mean early intervention to cure or get rid of autism. I mean early intervention supports for autistic people. Neurodiversity, another word I am just throwing out there as an idea for a future video. So yeah, I'm not bitter. I don't blame anyone for not catching my autism, because I am an expert masker. I am an expert imitator. I can observe somebody's mannerisms and, their language, their way of speaking, their body language, their actions, and I can mimic it pretty darn well. I always kind of, again, in high school would joke with my mom that, I think I would be a really great actress because I felt like I was acting all the time. And I was masking, I was putting on a show, I was putting on a performance to get by and fit in the best that I could. And I also want to say, if masking sounds like I was being an inauthentic person, I was being inauthentic to myself to survive. It wasn't to be a disingenuous person at all. I just was using what I knew would get me by. So I wasn't being fake. I was to pat myself on the back. I was being smart. I knew what I had to do to not get bullied. But as you might imagine, performing all the time in unnatural contexts, behaving in a way that is so unnatural to who you are, is exhausting mentally, emotionally, physically, because when I'm masking, I'm constantly thinking of, okay, what do I need to do next? And I'm rehearsing in my head what I need to say. And hours before interacting with people, I am rehearsing what I'm going to say. I'm picturing who I'm going to talk to. I'm thinking, okay, what do they like? What do we have in common? What do I know they do? And what pieces of information can I pull to create a script? And I need to come up with what I'm going to say and anticipate what they're going to say. I picture, how am I going to react physically? What facial expression am I going to have? I need to look at their face. I can't be looking off to the side, which looking at people's face and their eyes is something that's really hard for me. So yeah, it's exhausting. And then it's also psychologically and spiritually exhausting, because there's a lot of self-shame that can come with masking. Shame for feeling different, shame for knowing you're not being yourself, shame for, thinking, oh gosh, why is this so hard for me? Why are, normal things so hard for me? Saying hi to someone, looking at someone, why is that hard for me? Why is, catching a ball so hard for me, as a little kid, or, and as an adult, why am I picked last all the time in PE? Oh, PE, literal like PTSD from PE. And, so I have the social communication issues of all that I just explained. I have perseverative and repetitive special interests and behaviors. I have so many, but it might make sense to you, now that like, oh, her little quirks kind of make sense. My obsession with Harry Potter, this goes back to me blending in and masking. My special interests, they're not out of the realm of the norm for a neurotypical girl or young woman or woman. Reading is not, unacceptable for a young girl. Being quiet is not unacceptable for a young girl. But, reading, tens of books a month, preferring to stay indoors, sensory issues, another topic I will talk about later, and in my little cave of a room, reading on Saturday mornings into the entire day. Again, Harry Potter. Who doesn't love Harry Potter? And if you don't love Harry Potter, what is wrong with you? No, just kidding, kind of. But, reading the series over 20 times, that's a little different. That's a little not typical. And what else? Scotland, British murder mysteries, historical fiction, all of these things, cats. Oh my God, I just had a crazy expression when I said that. Cats. All of these things are, again, typical for people to like, but the degree to which I like/obsess about them and know about them is a little beyond what I think a lot of people are, how their interest manifests in these things. Which again, so this, these normal special interests are another reason why so many women and girls are diagnosed late in life. There is this picture of what autism looks like that I think a lot of people have in their head. Read young, white, male, interested in cars, trains, that kind of thing, math. And again, there are autistic people out there like that, and I'm not discrediting. It's not my desire to discredit their experience. I'm just saying autism covers everyone, race, gender, socioeconomic status, geography. It touches everyone around the world, and that's kind of my hope with again, for lack of a better phrase, coming out as autistic, and as a speech language pathologist, somebody who is trained professionally in interacting with and identifying people on the spectrum. So speech and language is also one of my special interests, thank God, because if it wasn't, I would be very miserable doing something else. So I, with this video and videos I hope to make in the future, I hope to kind of mesh my personal experiences as an autistic person with my professional insight into speech and language and communication, and hopefully educate if you're interested, and spread awareness about the autistic experience, So yeah, thank you. I know this is a long video, so thank you so much for watching this far, and I have so much more I want to share, so I hope to share more with you soon. If you have any questions, I am so open to answering questions. Just don't call me. I hate talking on the phone. You can text me. Not entirely preferred, but much preferable to talking on the phone, much preferable to talking in person. Sorry. I still love you. But, commenting on the video, I hope I can respond, online, or I can make a video to expand upon your questions. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for your support. And I'll see you around.